Do you want to know the number one reasons why small businesses fail? Do you want to know? And let me tell you, it is not what you think. Everybody thinks it's marketing, it's sales, it's assets to capital. And yes, those are all reasons why small businesses fail, but it's not the number one reason. Y'all, this is so overlooked. The number one reasons why small businesses fail is because of drum roll. It's because of your mindset. Your business will never outgrow your mindset. And I'm going to tell you why. Hey guys, I am T. Renee Smith, business scalability strategist, helping you to go from hardworking entrepreneur to highly paid CEO. How many of y'all want to go to highly paid CEO? Raise your hands. If so, then you got to shift your mindset. Your business will never outgrow your mindset. And typically, I don't like to use the word never, but in this instance, your business, it will only grow as far as your mindset. So many of you all, honey, me included, I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about me. Many years ago, before I figured this out, I was jumping from free webinar to free webinar, free YouTube video to free YouTube video. I was doing Google University. I was going to different coaches. I was going to different events, and it just was not clicking for me, and my business was still not growing. I redid my brand one time, and I wasn't getting the business traction that I needed. So years later, I went to a branding strategist, even though I teach branding. And, the branding strategist gave me back a brand that wasn't even mine. The problem was not her, it was me and it was my thinking. And so what I realized is that if I wanted my business to grow, it was not necessarily going to grow with me getting another strategy. First, I had to shift my mindset because I showed up everywhere that I went and I had limited thinking and limited beliefs. And many times we don't even realize that. And so we'll find ourselves undercharging, undervaluing ourselves, allowing people to take advantage of us. We'll find ourselves not getting on YouTube or social media posting and doing videos because we'd rather be doing the work. And what happens is we end up playing small because of our confidence, because of our lack of clarity, or because of old mindsets that no longer serve you. So I want to share with you three different mindsets that really will help you to shift your business. Number one is a scarcity mindset. So many of us look at different things that's going on in the economy or different things that's going on with politics, and we get nervous and we get scared. First of all, we have to understand that there is abundance that's in our world, and abundance is attracted to you when you're vibrating on an energetic level of abundance. So, what happens is if you operate on a scarcity level, then you're going to attract scarcity. If you operate on an abundance level, regardless of what's going on in the economy, you are going to have an abundance. So I have an associate that I know, and it looks like every time I see her or I talk to her just to check in with her, she is going through some form of financial crisis every single time. And I've known her in passing probably for about 10 or 15 years, and this has been the cycle that she's on. But when I talk to her, I understand why. So she talks lack. Meaning I'm only going to have enough money for this, or money doesn't grow on trees. And so what happens is her money doesn't grow on trees and she only has a little bit, right? And so when you think in abundance, meaning that everything works out for me, people pay me because of my knowledge and my skills, I attract wealth and abundance. When you start thinking like that, then you will start attracting that. So I remember when I was working on creating a mindset of abundance and prosperity, I listened to videos, I read books, I inundated myself probably for about like a 6 month or a year period. And all I did was read books, Think and Grow Rich, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, just all these different kinds of books. I would just read, I was reading, I would listen to podcasts, I would watch videos. And so I inundated myself. So it's kind of like I put myself in like a prosperity or an abundance incubator. And that's all that I heard. I didn't listen to news. I wasn't having negative conversations. If I found myself thinking negatively or about scarcity, I would just stop those thoughts. And so it took me time. It took me years to shift my mindset from being scarcity to abundance. But now that I'm in an abundance mindset, I know that regardless of what's going on in the economy, then my economy is different, right? So there's like a macro economy that may say lag, that may say recession, that may say stock market crash, that may say all of these things. But in my microeconomy with me and God, I know that regardless of what happens, that I'm going to be prosperous, that I'm going to be abundant, that there's going to be an opportunity for me. And so even now with everything that's going on, and even when COVID happened many, many years ago, those were the best times for my business, because instead of getting in the mindset of scarcity, I got in the mindset of abundance. And so I started seeing things as opportunities. So that's number one, is a scarcity mindset. Number two is you have to think bigger and you have to dream. Do you hear me? You have to think bigger and you have to dream. So if your goal is, and it's interesting, I run small business cohorts for organizations. And typically we always start off with a session on mindset. And so what happens is a lot of the businesses, they're like, this is what I need, like the bare minimum amount that I need in annual revenue to get by. And so what happens is that oftentimes they don't meet these goals and they end up not having enough. And so they're in a hustle and they're in a grind and they're in a struggle culture. So you have to think bigger. You have to dream bigger. So the same amount of energy and effort, right, that it would take to make $5,000 a month, you can make $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a month if you dream bigger. So when you start dreaming bigger, when you start saying, how can I make this work? Then that's when ideas and opportunities start happening. So whenever you say, I can't, your mind automatically cuts off any other options, right? When you say, I can't, versus when you say, how can I? Right now, your brain and your mind, it starts moving and thinking about how you can do certain things. So the second mindset shift is to think bigger, think bigger, think bigger, dream bigger. And then the third thing that I wanted to share, and it's so many mindset shifts, but I'm just going to share three today. The third one is you have to be clear on what you want. Many of us are very clear on what we don't want. We know what we don't want in a man or a woman. We know we don't want in a relationship. We know we don't want in a client. We know what we don't want. So we're clear about what we don't want. But oftentimes when I ask people and I say, well, what is it that you really want? A lot of them have trouble in answering, or they may say, well, I want to be successful. Well, what does successful look like? Or I want to be rich. Well, what does that look like? So in order for you to start achieving the things that you want to achieve, you have to be very clear. So you have to have clarity. So if you want to build a successful business, well, what's that revenue amount? Is it 100,000? Is it 500,000? Is it $1,000,000, right? And if it's $1,000,000, it's 83,000, $333 a month, around that amount. So you've got to be very clear. If you're wanting a certain type of marriage or a certain type of relationship, be clear. What does that look like? Or if you want a certain level of health, you have to be clear. So I remember when I was just going through a very rough patch and difficult time in my marriage, and I went to counseling. And let me tell you, I love therapy. I love counseling. Shout out to my counselor. You know who you are, girl. I love you. But I was talking so much about what my husband was doing wrong, and if he did this and he changed, and just complaining, complaining, complaining. And she asked me, she said, okay, well, what does the ideal marriage look like for you? She said, because in order for us to be able to achieve what your marriage is that you're looking for, you have to be able to clearly state what it is. And I couldn't tell her what I looked for. I was wanting. I just told her what I didn't want. And so what was funny is that when I was able to get crystal clear on what I wanted in my marriage, then I was able to see what it was going to take to get that. And then it also helped me to realize the things that I needed to do to show up differently in my marriage. So it's the same thing, whether it's your business, your health, your parenting, it doesn't matter. I remember even thinking what kind of mom I wanted to be, right? So I had to have clarity on what that looked like so that I would be able to show up as that. So listen, guys, whether it's your business, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your health, regardless of what it is, the number one thing that is going to determine if you are successful or not is your mindset. So again, most businesses fail because they don't have the right mindset, or what I call the CEO mindset. So there are specific things that have to be developed in order for you to be successful as a business owner. So if you're wondering like, ooh, T. Renee, some of the things that you were saying, it is resonating with me, and I know I need to work on my mindset shift. Don't worry about it. I got you. So I developed a free quiz, and it's called the You versus You quiz, because what happens is most of the time we think that it's somebody on the outside that is preventing us from being successful, but 99.9999% of the time it's us. So it's called You versus You because it's like that version of you that wants to grow and wants to do better versus the version of you that is wounded, that has trauma. And so it's like you're fighting against each other. And so sometimes the unhealed version of you wins, and then sometimes the version of you that's on that healing journey wins. And so in the You versus You quiz, it takes about 3 minutes, and it'll help you to identify the blocks that you have that are preventing you from living the life that you want and preventing you from becoming the woman that God has called you to be, or the man that God has called you to be. So click the link in below to access my free quiz, and it's a You versus You quiz, and you can get it at youversusyouquiz.com, youversusyouquiz.com. It is such a little eye-opening quiz. When people take it, they're like, oh my God, like this is dead on. Because I always like to find out about the results. Is this you? Were we, is it dead on? And so most of the time it is very accurate about who you are and where you are in your mindset journey. Okay. So make sure you take the quiz at youversusyouquiz.com, and then follow me on social media or YouTube, drop in the comments and let me know after you take the quiz, was it spot on? Okay. So remember, you can go from a hardworking entrepreneur to a highly paid CEO, and it all starts with your mindset shift. All right, guys. Till next time. Peace.